Right, so Emma, for this episode of Retried, we're really digging into the Willow Creek disappearance of Sarah Jenkins. Do you remember, hearing about this one?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. The Sarah Jenkins case, right? It was big news, especially with her boyfriend, Mark Harrison, being convicted so quickly. Everyone just sort of accepted it, like mystery solved, move on.
Precisely. The official story was, well, it was neat, wasn't it? Sarah goes missing, Mark's the last one to see her. They had, a bit of a tumultuous relationship apparently, and then, boom, a few weeks later, he's arrested, convicted on circumstantial evidence mostly, and a confession that, well, we'll get to that. The public they bought it, hook, line and sinker. Case closed. The town, Willow Creek, it just breathed a sigh of relief.
Yeah, I remember thinking it all seemed a bit too tidy, even back then. Like, there wasn't a body, right? And the evidence was, well, it felt sparse, even from the news reports. It always bugged me. So, what did the original investigators, say was the definitive proof?
That's it. That's where the cracks start appearing, Emma. They really leaned on Mark's supposed temper, his financial troubles, and this vague argument they had that evening. But if you look closer, the timeline it doesn't quite line up. There were conflicting witness statements about when Sarah was last seen, and the police, they just sort of glossed over those discrepancies.
Wait, conflicting statements? Like people saw her after Mark said she left? Oh, wow. That's a huge detail to just ignore. Was there anything concrete at the scene? I mean, beyond what they thought happened.
Not really. No definitive forensic evidence at Mark's apartment that pointed to foul play. Nothing that screamed murder. Just a general sense of disarray that could have been, just a normal messy home. The thing is, the police, they honed in on Mark almost immediately. And I think that tunnel vision, it really, really hurt the investigation right from the start. They wanted a quick solve, and he was the easiest target, wasn't he?
Ugh, that's such a classic mistake, isn't it? Jumping to conclusions because someone fits a convenient narrative. So they just, built the case around him, even if the pieces didn't quite fit perfectly.
Absolutely, and it led them to completely overlook some really compelling evidence. For instance, there was a neighbour, an elderly woman named Mrs. Albright, who swore she saw Sarah get into a dark-coloured sedan, not Mark's car, mind you, around midnight, hours after Mark said she'd left on foot. Police dismissed her as confused because of her age, which is just negligent, frankly.
Oh, that's terrible. A witness statement like that, regardless of age, should at least be thoroughly investigated. And a dark sedan? That's a specific detail. What about, any security camera footage from the area?
That's another frustrating point. There was a corner store just a block away from Sarah's apartment that had a working CCTV camera pointed directly at the street. The footage from that night was supposedly corrupted during the initial evidence collection. Convenient, isn't it? Our tech experts, they've actually managed to recover fragments, and while it's not clear, you can make out a similar dark vehicle passing by at that precise time. It makes you wonder, doesn't it?
Wow. Corrupted footage always, raises my eyebrows. And recovering fragments? That's incredible work. So they missed a crucial witness and then lost crucial video evidence? That's not just a crack, that's a gaping hole.
It really is, and it gets more interesting. During our deep dive, we uncovered a potential alternative suspect who was never seriously looked at. Sarah's estranged cousin, David Jenkins. He had a history of stalking and possessive behavior, particularly towards female relatives. Sarah had actually filed a restraining order against him a few months before her disappearance, which bafflingly wasn't even mentioned in the police reports.
Hold on. A restraining order and the police didn't follow up on that? That feels like a massive oversight. That's a huge, red flag, especially given his history. Did they even interview him properly?
Briefly, he gave an alibi that on the surface seemed to check out. He was apparently working late at his job in a neighboring town. However, we found inconsistencies in his employer's records for that specific week, suggesting he wasn't actually at work during the crucial hours. And, his car, it matches Mrs. Albright's description of that dark sedan almost perfectly. It makes you think, doesn't it?
Oh my goodness. So not only did they ignore a viable witness and crucial footage, but they completely dismissed a suspect with a clear motive and a shaky alibi? This is starting to sound less like an oversight and more like an active avoidance of the truth. That's just chilling.
It absolutely is, Emma. When you put all of this together, the hurried conviction of Mark Harrison, the dismissed witness, the corrupted CCTV, and now this, a completely uninvestigated alternative suspect with a history and a broken alibi, the original verdict, it completely unravels. It doesn't hold water anymore. You really start to question everything.
Yeah, I'm sitting here, picturing the whole thing, and it's just so clear how flawed the original investigation was. It's almost as if they wanted Mark to be guilty, and they just made the evidence fit. And poor Sarah, her case might have been solved, but it certainly wasn't properly investigated.
Exactly. Mark Harrison might be serving time, but our reinvestigation strongly suggests he was, wrongly convicted. Or, at the very least, that the true circumstances of Sarah's disappearance and potentially her fate were never actually brought to light. This isn't just about doubt, it's about a compelling case that someone else, someone entirely overlooked, had both motive and opportunity.
So, what's next for the case now that you've uncovered all of this? Is there a chance for, a new look officially?
Well, that's the hope, isn't it? We've compiled all of our findings, and we're working with a pro bono legal team who's agreed to review the evidence. The goal is to push for a reopening of the investigation, or at least a serious re-examination of Mark Harrison's conviction. It's a long shot, always is with these solved cases, but the weight of the new evidence, it's really significant.
That's incredible, James. I mean, to think that someone could be in prison, for a crime they didn't commit, while the real perpetrator just, walked free? It's a huge injustice. And, you really think David Jenkins is the key here?
He's certainly a far more plausible suspect than Mark, given everything we found. His history, the restraining order, the inconsistent alibi, the matching car, it's all pointing in a very different direction. It just highlights how crucial it is to keep an open mind, even when a case seems closed. Because sometimes, Emma, the official story, it's just not the whole story. And for Sarah Jenkins, we feel pretty strongly it's not even the right story.
Wow, this is it's so compelling. And it really makes you rethink all those cases we, just accept as solved, doesn't it? So glad you guys are doing this work.